we're just listening to what was said at the press conference. Very brief, straight to the point. Exactly what were you expecting should have been done before the rescheduling of the meeting?
Thank you so much. May I take this opportunity to greet all Ghanaians and our members, especially the nurses and midwives who are the members. We said that they were not fair with us. It was a bad fit, because if we all had agreed at the meeting, from that time up to now, there have been some perhaps things on your part. You think that the meeting will not be able to be held on the proposed date that you gave or agreed date that you gave. I think the best thing to have done was to reach out to the other party and then make your own. Because of this 1, 2, 3, 4 thing, we cannot make the decision. Let's get a common date, and then we will come.
Well, Mr. Grandpa, can you hear me? Hello? I think let's call him back, because we're having difficulties of the line. We seem to miss everything he said. The question I was asking him is what they expected from, especially the Parliamentary Select Committee, who they said they built some good faith with, based on which they decided to call off the strike and meet on the matter. So we'll try and get him back on the line and have this conversation on the press conference they held after they were communicated to them that the meeting has been rescheduled to July 10, and what they anticipate will happen at that meeting. This is a Gold Morning Conversation live on Radio Gold 90.5 FM. We're also live on Sekwele 104.3 FM in Likpe, Todume. Mr. Kwampa, sorry, we had difficulties with your line there. You're responding to my question of what you expected from the stakeholders involved.
Thank you so much. I was just saying that if they actually meant well for us, the trust that we actually repose in them shouldn't have been, make us look like this. In other words, if we all agreed on a time that this date we'll come and meet, and if due to 1 or 2 things you cannot make it, you don't wait till the time that a day, just few hours before the meeting date, then you bring in a letter that because of 1, 2, 3, and the meeting cannot come on. And then people had already traveled from their various places across the country to attend this particular meeting. Did you treat us fair? So we thought that no, it is a bad thing. They didn't treat us fair. That is what I can say to that now.
When did you receive the letter communicating the rescheduling of the meeting?
Yeah, we had our council meetings on council meetings for 25th and 26th. So it was at the meeting, 25th when we were at the meeting, that this letter came.
Okay. But even though you have communicated the fact that you feel this is bad faith, it looks like you're still open to going to the meeting on 10th July, right?
Exactly, yes. We do, because we actually respect the parliamentarians, just that we are not happy about the way they treated us. And then once they proposed the 10th of July, we are all waiting to go and then listen to what we have and then what can be. But we expect that the 4 things that we forwarded to them would be implemented in August.
What are those 4 things?
We talked about it. You see, after the first meeting we held with them, they said that because of the budget and whatever, the budget could not contain all the 8 things that we brought in. And so we should look at them and then see those that can be handled. So we settled on the books and research allowance, which will be for the tutors with the masters in research and PhD holders in our nursing and midwifery training institutions. They are not even up to 500 in the country. And then this uniform allowance, which is also one-time payment in a year for all members. And then we talk about the fuel allowance for our seniors who actually had to enjoy. It is already there, but because the condition of service has not been have not been implemented, the new tariffs that are supposed to be received are not coming. They are still receiving the old one, so they should see to that one. They are about 5,000 plus something. And then we talk about the 8% non-basic allowance for all members in the country too. These are the small things that we said that they should consider.
8% non-basic allowance. 8% on what?
That means in our how do you call it? Our salary, the basic salary that we take,
Okay. Okay.
that we take home, that one is a percentage that they will add to it to mitigate what we are receiving.
Okay. So of all the four things, my understanding is that none of them is new. The tariff is just that the tariffs has just gone up.
Yeah, for the fuel allowance.
Okay.
The 8% have been there already, which we do often, and then the how do you call it? The book and research allowance that has not been implemented at all.
Okay. So that will be
and
new.
And then the uniform allowance is already there in the system.
Okay. So the uniform allowance is there. What you're asking for an increase?
Yeah, I think that we agreed in the new conditions. If we agreed, we settled. Formally, it was 400 cedis per head for 1 year, and after the negotiations, it came to 1,000. But because the case was in court, the old regime, the employer had to pay the 400, waiting for the outcome from the court. And so there's a balance of 600 that is supposed to be paid to top it up. That is all that we are asking for.
Okay. So it will take it from 400 to 1,000.
Yeah, to 1,000.
1,000 cedis for every nurse.
For every nurse.
Okay. I guess you've heard people asking why you need a uniform allowance.
Thank you so much. We have our prescribed uniform. We wear uniforms that identify us as nurses and midwives in the country. And it is the employer who is supposed to provide all these things for the employees who are working. If I should taper it down to our farming communities, people hire laborers to come and work on their farms, and perhaps at the end of the year, they give them something. But even there, they give them all the things, the tools that they need. Your cutlass, your Wellington boots, and every attire that you are supposed to use to work. And that was the agreement that we went with we discussed with the government, and he accepted it. And it is true. The Ghanaians know that the nurses and midwives in the country, we have our unique uniform. So the government should provide for it. And even this 1,000 that we are talking about will not be sufficient, because we are supposed to get about 2 or 3 dresses in a year. You cannot be wearing one dress all throughout. The first time we went, we sent a midwife. We took a midwife along who dressed fully as a midwife, and the negotiation started. It is not only the material. We have our, breast watches. We have our cape. We have our aprons. We have our sandals, shoes that we have to wear, and all those things. Can 1,000 actually provide for all this? So we just settle on it to actually mitigate for future this, but to use that one for future, if it will be built on. And then if they agree that they will pay, well, they should pay. But the time that we are expecting this one to be implemented, this thing to be implemented, might be in August, because we'll be sitting on the 10th of July.
Okay. Now you're saying something different from what your president says. Your president is saying this should be implemented no later than the July in which you'll be having the meeting with the other stakeholders.
No. What is happening is that President said it is not on the 10th that they can implement it while the meeting has gone on. So even if they implement it in July, it will not be, at the time that the controller will also be inputting all this, it may not reflect in the July salary. That's why we are saying that it should appear in August 1.
Okay. But July, so what you expect to receive in August is for July?
It's from July.
Okay. But you are now walking to the table to negotiate, but it seems you have set conditions that you expect should be followed. Why?
Thank you so much. You see, when we hear even the word to negotiate in relation to a condition of service, it is something that we frown upon. This has already been agreed upon and signed by the ministry, by the employer. So it is not like we are going to sit to negotiate again. That negotiation condition of service is done every 2 years. The condition of service is reviewed every 2 years with the employer and stakeholders. And if we agree and they all sign it, it is then the finance minister would write and then inform the controller to implement them. So the 8 things that we sent, they considered that we should bring out some 4 that we think that may be able to be. I know, perhaps they will look elsewhere and then fix it in. This is what we presented. So it is not like we are going to negotiate on these things again. It is something that have already been negotiated on, and it's the implementation we are waiting for.
I understand, because even the implementation date is subject to negotiation, or is it not at all?
Oh, why should it be? This thing should have started in January. You see, 2024, that we finished with the, with the review of the condition of service. It was supposed to have started in July, because we finished in May 2024. But because of the court issue, it was in December, then about that the court finished with it and said that it could be implemented. And then the table stem in terms of governorship. And then we started informing the chief director and the minister who was appointed about this, and they assured us that it has been captured into the budget. All our other stakeholders, those who have gotten their data, they are enjoying theirs, because actually theirs were implemented earlier. They perhaps don't have much complaints. But ours, not a single CD on the district have been implemented. That is why we think that they are not dealing with us fairly.
I see. So if you're not going on the table to discuss the conditions, nor discuss the date of implementation, then what is up for discussion at that meeting? 10 July, what are you going to discuss?
It is like somebody, you've written and they've written to you to provide certain things, and you've provided it to them. They say, come for feedback. So we are going to listen to them. Are they implementing it, or they are not implementing what the list we sent? That is all. And from what we come out, that will give us the way forward as to what action to be taken.
Two things. Okay, so 2 questions from our listeners, those who are listening. Nana P.S. Oseanto says I should ask you whether you are dictating to the government. If the employer has even signed, are they sure the financial muscle of government can take it? How do you respond to that?
Thank you, I will. We are not dictating. We have the constitutional right as a union whose condition of service should be implemented after it is discussed and accepted by the employer. So we are not dictating. It is something already they know. It has become a statutory document to be implemented. So for that one, it is out. And the other aspect of it is, I didn't get that power, if you can just...
about financial muscle, whether government has what it takes.
That is what we are saying. If you wanted to treat us fairly, why would you promise us that it has been factored into the budget in the first place if you hadn't done so? Who do you take us for? When the COVID came, with most stations and even the presidency even closed. They all closed. They all closed down and went home and pushed the nurses forward to go and face the deadly disease. Those who died, some of them, their relatives have not received their allowances up to now. And those who contracted the disease in the course of this, and they brought out packages, you do this, and some even had to treat their own selves. Is it how you deal with us? So it is not about financial muscle. The employer we are looking with the document, when the government came in, and there was recently, that is, we read from this, and the government is able to settle about $150 billion of whatever the debts we owe in the country. What was it about the same muscle we are talking about here? Just as peanuts for nurses and midwives in the country. Who do you take us for? So they are not dealing with us fairly. They are not dealing with us fairly. And from the look of things, if this term July, if we attend this meeting and what we expect doesn't come out, I don't know what may happen anyway. But we just want to plead with the populace to start talking to government to do whatever it's supposed to do and then implement it for us. We wouldn't want the time that perhaps something will happen and they will now be calling on the nurses, and some of you journalists will be insulting us as prostitutes. If they have something to say now to the government employer, they should do it now.
There are some journalists who insulted you as prostitutes.
We have even sent some of them to court.
I see.
It is even on social media.
I see. Well, thank you, Mr. Krampa, for speaking to us.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Joseph Krampa is PRO, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. They have a meeting, not only with the Parliamentary Select Committee, but all the other stakeholders involved. Remember, there's the Finance Ministry, who I believe will have representation at that meeting. There's the Health Ministry, the Akando-led Health Ministry that will have representation if he himself is not there. So all of those people will be at that meeting with, what do you call it? I'm sure Ghana Health Service also have a representation with the Parliamentary Select Committee leading the meeting to try to resolve this matter. The nurses are not happy that there was